Hey guys, new video here. Today I'll be showing you and explaining all of the weapon perks in Lost Light. Weapon perks are the passive skills or buffs that you can utilize whenever you are using a weapon that has a perk, so that in the right environment or situation, you can take advantage of these perks to win most of your gunfight encounters. But before we do hop in, don't forget to drop a like on this video so it can be discovered by other Lost Light players as well. And if you want to keep up to date with everything Lost Light, consider subscribing today. Our first perk is called Heavy Wound. This perk reduces your survival timer to a shorter duration, where by default a player being knocked down has a survival timer of 120 seconds. When knocked down by a weapon with this perk, the survival timer will become 15 or 10 seconds depending on the weapon. This means there is less time for you to stay alive for an SOS or a potential revive from a teammate. The current weapons that have these perks are the B11 SASS, the KC416, SR15, and the Vector. As I mentioned, when knocked down, these weapons can make your survival timer drop to 15 or 10 seconds depending on the weapon. This is because the B11 SAS, the KC416, SR15 are the weapons that drop your survival timer to 15 seconds, while the Vector is the only one that drops your survival timer to 10 seconds. So there's a slight advantage of using the Vector if you want a lower survival timer when you knock someone down. Since we already mentioned the B11 SAS, which is currently one of the best weapons in Season 7, the reason is because it has two weapon perks, and that next perk that it has is called the Stamina Taker. This perk is by far one of the most overpowered buffs when used properly. The name itself is self-explanatory, but to give it more detail on how strong it is, because each landed shot you do on an enemy reduces their stamina by 80 points. Meaning with 2 successful hits to any body part of your enemy, you basically reduce their stamina to less than half, giving them less energy to run or escape if they choose to. Speaking of escaping, the next perk we have does not give you that sense of freedom, as the execution perk will automatically eliminate or execute anyone who is knocked down. When this perk came out, it was initially added to the previous weapons I mentioned. With the recent changes or possible balancing, the execution perk is now only available for the DR10 and the M870 shotgun. With shotguns not really being a good option in any gunfight in the game, they're really bad, sorry. The best weapon for this perk is definitely the DR10. Even though it is a sniper rifle, if you can land your shots with decent bullets, you can basically eliminate an entire lobby with this weapon. Just to add that the execution perk works on all enemies, so Marauders will also be eliminated upon knockdown. Since we mentioned Marauders in this list, they tend to appear at the wrong place and at the wrong time sometimes. And what a better solution to battle these aimbotting robots than to use the Marauder Exterminator perk. This perk is exclusively only to the SVDS, a semi-auto sniper rifle with good range and decent damage. With it comes a 25% damage increase to any enemy AI. This includes all common, elites, and mini-boss Marauders. So consider picking up this weapon if you're preparing to take on Raymond or Lions in the exclusion zone. Our next perk on the list is called Increased Rate of Fire. Yes, I didn't make that up. That is exactly what is being displayed when you look at this perk, and this passive skill is only exclusive to the RP16. Although it makes sense for the RP16 to have this perk given the high bullet capacity that the weapon has. It would also be an interesting combination when and if they introduce finally LMGs in the game. But do take note that given that this perk increases your rate of fire, it does not change the weapon's recoil pattern. So make sure you pull straight down once you start shooting. From one of the best mid-range weapons in the game, we now take the jump to one of the best close-range weapons called the SG-12. Yes, a shotgun. With this semi-automatic shotgun, it contains the perk Accuracy Boost. With this perk, you gain a 30% accuracy boost when crouching and a 60% accuracy boost when proning. You will see how much accuracy you have when you take a look at your shotgun's crosshair. The tighter the crosshair is, the better the accuracy it has. It may not be a viable option in most gunfights, given that shotguns are the second worst weapons in this game, and ARs and SMGs are more better selections, but it can still prove to be a deadly weapon when used correctly. Making the segue, since we mentioned SMGs, we are now hopping on these weapon classes and their perks, starting with the newly renamed RP19. Formerly called the PP19, the RP19 has two distinct perks that are depending on the stock that you are using with. The first perk that the RP19 has is called Stealthy, and is to be able to use this, you should equip the default metal stock. With this perk, All of your shooting and movement will not be detected by the sound indicator when you are indoors. This makes pushing or attacking enemies easier with this perk, as they will have little time to prepare for you when you are on the move. But do not forget that this perk only works when you are inside a building, whereas it is most effective when you use it in BAF, as the entire map is an indoor location. The second perk that the RP19 has is called Faster Movement. And to be able to use this, you should equip the PT1 stock. This simply gives you an additional 15% movement speed boost when you have the stock equipped on your RP19. This will make rotations or even escaping more easier given the speed boost and the high mobility that the weapon has. An added tip is to pair the RP19 with any silent armor, and you should be very hard to detect and locate by sound. Our next SMG is one of the more popular pickups in most games. The MPX is a highly versatile weapon that can be modified for both close and medium range engagements. Along with its high fire rate, this SMG is also granted the perk called Powerful Bullets. This perk gives the MPX an increased damage to armor and armor piercing. To make it clearer for you guys, simply look at your current bullets damage depending on what you have equipped, and this perk should add a little extra damage to your enemy's armor if you're using non-penetration bullets, and also extra damage when you are using armor piercing bullets. Think of it more as a slight damage buff with the bullets that you equip. And our final SMG is the MP7. Another viable option in high-ranked operations, the MP7 also contains one of the best perks introduced into the game called Recoil Reduction. This perk grants the user a no recoil buff for 0.55 seconds after aiming down the sights. Given the perk's name, it should already be easy to understand that as soon as you aim down your sights and you fire the MP7, there should be little to no recoil in the first few shots that you take. Last but not the least, we have the Pack Slam perk, one of the more interesting perks, as this gives the M700 sniper rifle the ability to knock off your enemy's backpack whenever you hit them. It can create different kinds of scenarios, which can also lead to big wins, and can also be labeled as one of the more annoying perks ever introduced into the game. Also a special mention, as they recently added the lock-on feature for specific sniper rifle muzzles. This basically grants you guaranteed chest or headshots after aiming at your enemy for a certain duration. It's a different topic on its own, so we'll have to discuss that in a different video. It's Lazy One from the future here. Apparently during the scripting and recording of this video, they added a new perk called Power Shots. And to put it shortly, this perk reduces your health regeneration. It varies between 70% and 80% health regen debuff, depending if you're using the P90 or the SVDS respectively. So in short, if you get shot, you will heal more. So those were all the current perks that we have for each different weapons in Lost Light. What did you guys think? Which of the perks that I mentioned were your favorite? Feel free to let me know in the comments below. If you found this helpful, kindly give this video a like, and if you're new here, please subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.